And now, ladies and gentlemen, without taking further time of yours, it's time for our next panel session. The next 50 minutes is going to be a high-powered knowledge session with 8 eminent industry leaders discussing on payment fraud control. Please help me welcome the honorable panel members. Joining us first, with a big round of applause, please welcome Mr. Abin Mathew K, Head Fraud Risk and Strategy from SBM Bank India. A big round of applause to Mr. Mathew. Welcome to the panel, Abin. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Ajay Kanth, Head Fraud Risk Management Unit from Aditya Birla Capital. A big round of applause to Mr. Kanth. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Ms. Shuchi Mahajan, Senior Vice President and Head, Fraud Prevention, Analytic, Digital and Customer Awareness, HDFC Bank. A big round of applause to Ms. Mahajan. Welcome to the panel, madam. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Vishal, Rijia, Head, Fraud Prevention and Governance from Kotak Mahindra Bank. Big round of applause to Vishalji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have industry veteran, Mr. Rahul Arora. Big round of applause to Rahulji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. Joining next in this panel, Mr. Jayesh Jagarwal, Head Fraud Control Unit, Bharti XL Life Insurance. A big round of applause to Mr. Jayesh. Jayesh, welcome to the panel. Please have your seat. Joining next, we have Mr. Harshit Rathi, EVP Risk Analytics, Northern Arc Capital. A big round of applause to Harshit ji. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. And now for this wonderful panel of eminent experts, I would like to call on the moderator with a big round of applause. Please welcome Mr. Satish Kashyap, CEO and co-founder, Drona. A big round of applause to Mr. Kashyap. Welcome to the panel, sir. Please have your seat. So, Satish ji, I think you have a full panel of solid industry experts here. And similarly, you have a full house audience here. And this is right after lunch. So this is going to be a firecracker of a sessions. All over to you. And all the best to all the panel members.
Okay. That's fine. Okay, post-lunch session. The challenges associated with it are well known. Should we do a stand-up, sit down in order to make sure everyone's awake, or my voice is sufficiently painful enough that it'll keep you awake? Okay, so in order to start with something on a different note, how many of you know that we have a Pulitzer Prize-winning article which came out and which is reference to this entire panel's context? Anyone's aware what the article was titled? No? So it's come out, the Pulitzer Prize was given out a day or two ago. The article was called Trapped, TR, and the APP in bold, ED, and it was an illustrative article about digital arrests in India. So the article talks about what are the problem statements which, everyone who's been reading the newspaper would know. If you haven't been digitally arrested, please raise your hands. There are fraudsters in the room trying to get to you. That's what I can say so that you figure out what it is all about. So as we get started with this panel, we've already had sessions in the morning. So maybe what I'll do is I'll first start out with Rahulji, with you, sir.
Sure.
Transaction volumes are growing through the roof. We are told India is the benchmark for the world. We are now, MasterCard and Visa, we treat them with a little bit of lower respect than our homegrown boys, and we say, boss, we are the kings. How do you see real-time transaction monitoring, and how do you see the use of AI ML in this space? If you could just start things off for us, yeah.
Sure, that's a great question. In fact, I was reading somewhere last month, UPI transaction crossed 22 billion. So yes, transactions is increasing with the digital, wave going on. The future or even the present best practices that have been implemented for AI and machine learning. See, one has to understand that it's going to be the human in loop who's going to drive these. Okay, we have to project those rules, dynamic, how frauds will get detected. So the best part about this system is it can learn, evolve, and execute. You push tons of data, it will learn on its own, it will analyze the pattern, and now the shift is not fraud detection. It is, I would say, pre-alerts before the transaction actually happens. The system understands customer behavior. So let's look at credit card, debit cards, internet banking transactions, transaction through app. Now, these devices have a capability to connect with each other. It will do a device binding. It will do a SIM binding. It will analyze your latitude, longitude, if where the customer is. If the address is of Mumbai, transaction is being attempted somebody inside the country, outside the country, it will flag off. And various checks. If the biometric is there, misused, or if even duplicate SIM is inserted, these will prevent transactions. Now, depending on risk appetite of organizations, they can implement rules, whether they want to approve the transaction, reject the transaction, add a layer of authentication of biometric and all that. So a lot of organizations have created a data command center. You have data sources from various points. It's all sitting there. You have central fraud registry. You have MNRL, which is mobile number revocation list. You have a hunter data. You have Mule AI, which my colleagues will talk about. You have attempted frauds, all kind of data sitting at one place. And any transaction that makes an attempt there gets flagged off and rejected. If you talk about even the digital journey of onboarding of accounts and disbursement of loans, AI is there. All they have started to do is they have mapped mobile number, Aadhaar PAN linkage, your CIBIL record updation, email updations. Once the customer goes through a journey, the software will try to capture the photo of the customer liveliness that will match with the Aadhaar. It will give you a percentage score. Whether depending on satisfactory, not satisfactory, it will block, reject. And subsequently, if it's a business loan or different kind of loan, you can upload documents there, salary slips, GST challans, all those documents. The software is inbuilt that can detect and tell you if, let's say, salary slip, if the composition is incorrect or if the bank statement is incorrect. So all these are getting implemented, and this will help in real-time decision making. Now, even it's the time which is gone for manual transaction monitoring. It's now all use of AI and ML. You put in rules. It will call up the customer real time. It will try and make an attempt, and the customer has a feedback time. It wants to block a transaction, reject a transaction, all happening through phone, through push notifications. So there is going to be a shift which is happening, and I think all this will help in fraud reduction and early detection.
Superb. So moving from there, you've spoken quite a bit about the mules. Maybe I'll go to Vishal next. And Vishal, we hear it in the news every day. If anything like that digital arrest story, mule accounts are the problems of the day. So can you get us a little bit about what's the latest, what are we doing, and how do you see us evolving over here?
See, mules are the backbone for any fraud to happen. So if I want to control fraud, I have to control mules. When I'm saying I'm talking about the ecosystem or the industry at large. There are lots of things that all the organizations are currently doing. I'll just elaborate on some of the best practices that people are doing currently or can do. There's a lot of ML models that are being used currently, not typically AI, more of ML models which are being used right now for mules. It uses a lot of large set of data with regards to behavior of the transactions, profile of the customer, location of the overall, like for example, if there are a lot of mule accounts which are being detected either externally or internally, through a particular location, then is there any problem? Because now what happens is, gone are the days that we'll be looking at mules only from a digital side. There are lots of mule accounts which are also happened physically, right, through branches. So we have to take care of that as well. Any hotspot areas with regards to that, that is something that, industry folks are doing. There are a lot of external data points as well. He's spoken about MNRL, he's spoken about central fraud registry. We get a lot of data from MHA. The banks get a lot of data from MHA with regards to all the layers of accounts. So that is something that we can do. A lot of linkage and network analysis that we can do to identify or prevent. There's a lot of awareness also that we need to incubate to the customers so as to not fall prey for, quick money. That is important because a lot of, I would say a lot of vulnerable segments also. So one is obviously the intention is to defraud the victim. Second is what's in it for me. I may get a small cut and I can allow my account to be used. Now, if I'm vulnerable, if I'm looking for quick money, then there is a possibility that I may rent out my account. So there, this customer awareness and all those things also come into picture. Lots of things to be done here.
Superb. That was, quite a broad coverage. Maybe while we are at this itself, I will move to the lady, Shuchi madam. I know there's a whole Vigil Auntie Lola Kuti equivalent series that we've seen all around. I hope most of you would have also seen it. If not, it's quite entertaining at times as well while communicating a strong message. Madam, in this world of apps, digital payments, how do you see the use of AI to prevent these frauds?
Okay, so first of all of you must follow Vigilante. It'll help you and your family members and loved ones stay more aware.
I thought I did the sales pitch, but...
Vigilante is charity. It's customer awareness going back to every citizen, but coming back to your question. So, as Rahul mentioned, the quantum of digital transactions first has grown so much, and 22 billion, if you look at the percentage of digital transactions that India contributes to, is more than 50%. Now, when the digital transactions have boomed so much, obviously fraudsters are not going to stay behind, right? And they'll end up using technology much faster. They have a huge cartel. They train each other. They know exactly which bank does what to prevent and detect. They know exactly which customers to target. They do their KYT very well. Know your target. They have that, which they do really, really well, right? And given that entire scenario, we have to imbibe and use the same technology. But the way I look at it, and the way fraudsters' MOs have shifted, now they no longer just try and get into the system. They try and get into our minds. And which is what they use. They use emotions. They use all kinds of emotions. They couple it with urgency. They couple it with relevance because they know exactly what you're doing, where you're doing. You as in all of us, post our entire lives on social media. So having said that, we have to use the same things in a much better manner to kill the same frauds. But the way I look at it, it's not just AI. It's a combination of technology, AI, and physical modes that you can to reach out every customer. First, design. How do you ensure that the platforms that you're designing also take care of each of these things? Like earlier we had device binding only. All of us have moved to SIM binding. Now SIM binding also gets spoofed. So we are moving to silent mobile verifications. All of us use RASP as a coverage and a protection around our apps. And that is something which is very evolving. Tomorrow, and I think a lot of banks have already started thinking when you're onboarding a customer on the mobile app or on net banking, do face auth, deep fake detection, and liveliness check. You can't just do liveliness check with no deep fake detection because fraudsters are using the same thing. So the first thing is how do you make your platforms as strong to take care of this? The second is how do you ensure that the customers know it's really you? And I think the regulators are doing a great job at that because we can identify which is a genuine banking website. 1600 really helps because it's a banking or financial services call. So that helps customers, and there are, of course, multiple other things which helps customers identify it's you. After that is your authentications layers that we build and your transaction monitoring. Now, this is where you are looking at millions of data with hundreds of parameters. Earlier, we would have very simple if, then, else rules. Night monitoring, senior citizen monitoring, velocity monitoring, and it would work, right? And for months, you did not even need to change anything. That doesn't work anymore. So how do you ensure that you're looking at millions of data with all the parameters in real time, creating a story to identify that one needle in the continuously moving haystack? Because these are continuously moving variables. That is where AI and ML come into the picture. How do you use your models? And then you use technology along with it. So when you've identified that this is a risky transaction, define how risky it is. Do you want to step up an authentication? Do you want to nudge a customer? Because frauds are not just account takeovers anymore. They are also authorized transactions, your digital arrest, your investment frauds. You need to understand that if it is a clear account takeover fraud, which is a comparatively lower hanging fruit because you know a lot of variables are going to just, be read in your analysis, how do you kind of authenticate? Do you want to just do a call? Even the call may not be enough because the fraudsters now take over the device of the customer with call forwarding. So if the call is getting forwarded and you call the customer to ask if you are doing the transaction, the fraudster says yes. How do you kind of authenticate that? And then you will have confirmation frauds. Can you add up an authentication layer like a face auth or a voice auth? And that is where your AI comes into the picture. How do you do the right nudges to the customer? If you think that everything else is matching but the behavior is not, can you ask them specific questions if they're under digital arrest? Now this is where your authentication layers and your transaction monitoring, the thin line starts merging because they will actually need to go hand in hand. And this is where AI can really make a huge difference. But again, what is the kind of data that you're going to put in? Garbage in is going to be garbage out. So if you're not going to provide the right data, there are going to be biases. So that becomes very, very important in continuous monitoring. And the last pillar comes as what controls are you giving to the customer? What awareness parameters are you creating? How can you use AI also to do those nudges and let customer take control of the platform, of the transactions, of blocking the transactions, of raising a dispute? Today we have Sanchar Sarthi, not AI related, but how many of you have actually reported a mobile number on that? Very few, I'm sure. And this is when we are in the fraud industry. And people who don't know about it, they don't use it. Those are things that you can use, and these same numbers, when it goes to the industry, can get consumed by the models, can get consumed by the regulators, and we can make a huge change. So it's a combination of AI, technology, models, with, of course, humans being the core of the defense.
Superb. So people, process, technology, you've ticked
It all goes together.
all the boxes. Very nice. So maybe from a transaction monitoring, we will move back to the lending industry and try and figure out some of those insights over there. So Harshit, maybe you can tell us, we're talking about a different kind of journey, not a real-time transaction journey, but you have some more time through the process of onboarding, but the amount at risk is significantly larger. So how do you at Northern Arc, and how do you look at it overall as use of AI to prevent these onboarding challenges that we hear about?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Not exactly when you said that we have more time during onboarding. With digital lending coming in, it's all very fast, and even in lending, we really don't have that much of time. I think during onboarding, the biggest kind of frauds which are there in the industry are KYC related frauds. So we have to ensure minimum TAT for onboarding. We have multiple tools, like we do video KYCs, we have photographs which are taken on the spot or over the portal. So there we find, a lot of my panel members spoke about ML in detail, but for multimodal kind of applications, I think AI is better compared to ML, because we have a lot of multimodal large language models. So generally, it's not recommended to use directly the external or closed source large language models like ChatGPT or Gemini, but we do have a lot of open source multimodal models like Gemma, or the ones which are there on Hugging Face, which is the portal for open source models. So with those models, what can be done is like, how is the photograph looking in the KYC document compared to how is it like in the application form or in the live onboarding process, or in the video, whether it's a deep fake video or not. A lot of, we have seen, although it requires significant compute power to run these offline LLMs in-house, but it's much safer and our data doesn't go to any external LLMs. So that kind of applications will emerge more in the future as the open source LLMs gets better. We already are at Gamma 4, which is the fourth version, which is a decent model at multimodal abilities. That's by Google. So as the iterations go on, we should see these come into the picture. But the flip side is these same models can be used to make deepfakes as well. So both go hand in hand. So we need to ensure that we have those kind of codes written over these local LLMs which can detect deepfakes first, and then.
So if the fraudster is using Kimi and the latest version of ChatGPT and you're using the Gamma on-source version, aren't you at a disadvantage?
Yeah, we have to be at the best levels because like that's where the world is moving. The AI and ML will have to be used more in cybersecurity and such preventive tools as well, and not just for innovation. So both should go hand in hand so that we have a safer rollout of AI and ML in the country.
Thank you. So moving from the onboarding state, Ajay, moving ahead in that journey, the process of servicing, the process of collection, how do you see the evolution of AI and how do you see the evolution of the fraudster? Because it's now become a game. Every now and then I'm told fraudster is evolving faster, so do.
Yeah, thanks and good afternoon everyone. So I'll, to your question, how they have evolved and how we have evolved. They have already evolved and they are, maybe we are in AI, ML generation. They have gone beyond that. And like people have, all the co-panelists have touched upon the combination of AI, physical, as well as the controls which we put inside, and as well as awareness. I'll just take a couple of examples. One we had discussed last time also, and since being both from insurance as well as the lending friends are here. So I'll just quote one from insurance and the other from the lending one. Recently we had encountered, fortunately we didn't face that situation, but there were, in fact, 4 people have got arrested also. There was a digital, the lending in that space. We talk about identity theft, we talk about PAN, Aadhaar linkage, we talk about the AIs and all. How they have evolved and they have gone beyond that is this particular example being where they actually hacked the biometric, the face of the person. And this was not one case, but there were many cases of such nature where they have hacked that. Thereafter, from that, they took the OTP, they changed their mobile number. Thereafter, they went to the DigiLocker, they took the other records of that person, and thereafter they opened the account. So, while doing all these things, do you think that it will be one person or two person? It's a group. It's a nexus we call. And the collaborations they have. So, if you can say that. So they collaborate on that, they have all those details, and when they open the account, then they apply for the loan. And the other related to that stuff, we had faced. We talk about AIs and all, but I'm not sure how many of us would be doing the face dedupe, face match. We have encountered in Assam where one person, 16 loans they had applied for with the same selfie. How do you encounter that? So it's a combination. It's always a learning process. Like we talk about AI and then ML, machine is learning. How are we learning from that? How fast we are learning from that? That is very important. The second part is also relating to the field. Shuchi had also spoken about the physical and as well as the human intelligence part. Are we aware about the ground reality? What we will feed in the AI model? Are we aware about what kind of trends are happening? What kind of modus operandi is being played by the by these people who are mostly, if you'll find, these are in the bracket of 20 to 30 years, maximum 30 years. We got around 50 people arrested by Assam police last financial year. And out of those 50, all of them were between the age range of 20 to 25. I had the opportunity of interacting with one, and we could see that they use telegrams. They have the groups, 3,000, 4,000 people are there where they interact, they discuss. And that's where, whether we are aware about our controls, they are much aware about our controls than we are aware of. And what to build upon that. So they used to talk, ki, acha, ye company mein it's going on. I have applied, I have got that. Now you can also. And then people push for those things. So these kind of things, we are now in that age where AI, ML will help. But at the same time, we also need to be evolving in how we are collaborating, how we are talking about. We are not in terms of one lending business. Here we are now having insurance, mutual fund. So all these, if they don't collaborate amongst themselves, it becomes very difficult. What kind of, we feel that whenever we have now in the team, and sorry to say, but when the new team or members are getting onboarded, they may not like to go on field. They would like to go, अच्छा AI तो है ना, अब उससे हम निकालेंगे और हम पकड़ेंगे. But unless and until you go on the field, you will not know the trend, you will not know the pattern, you will not know the intent of the people. And that's where it has to be a combination of AI, ML, and the field intelligence or human intelligence. The second case, since many of you are from the insurance background, there had been, you know that there are those nexus which are there in insurance also. And they use all those, they do recce's. You must be aware, they do recce's. कि किस एजेंसी का, किस एजेंट का या किस सेल्स मैनेजर का टारगेट पूरा नहीं हो रहा है. They ask them, okay, your target, I know your target is not being met. I can give you 10 cases. Now, of course, as you know, there is a pressure of the target. They will get into that. They will buy those. Instead of 10, they will buy 5. Now, when they buy 5, the insured, they are also in part of it. They are given that कि ठीक है आपको 1 lakh I'll pay you, 5 lakh का 10 lakh का apply किया. They know that कि what is the limit beyond which they will go for medicals. They will do those things. So they will do all these things. The person is either dead or the person is on the verge of dying. So all these kind of things are being played unless and until we know on the ground what is happening. The AI will be limited in that space. And the last, it needs to take some time. We need to have patience with AI. We need to have, but I'm sure in your organizations also it would be happening. अरे AI लाओ, सारा मामला निपट जाएगा.
Automation equal to AI.
And it becomes very difficult to actually, because it will take some time. It will learn from its own evolve. In fact, in insurance, we had started the AI/ML in 2017 in life insurance, and there were many other life insurance companies also had started at that time. And where the probability of the policy turning into the early claim, what is the probability? And it had taken some time. I'm still sure that it has not evolved that much. There was false positives, lots of things coming out. So all these things needs to have patience, but at the same time, it's very important tool for the fraud management team. It's a very good to help us. It is very good, but not the total dependence on that.
Just to add to what Ajay also just mentioned, there are also scenarios where the payer and the payee are both victims.
Yeah.
So we also saw cases, and AI wouldn't have told you this. We saw cases where people's accounts were taken over and loan payments were done. Now, who would think loan payments would be frauds? And they were happening to a particular lending company. So obviously we know each other, so we spoke, we found out, we told them to try and investigate. And what came out was amazing. the people who had actually taken loans were approached by fraudsters. They were told that your EMI of 20,000 is due. I will do that EMI payment for you. You give me cash for 16,000. So that 16,000 went out of the system as cash. The person who had applied for loan had no idea it's a fraud. The person whose account is taken over, now both are victims. So they didn't know that it was a fraud and it was happening in Bihar. Of course, after you figure out all of this, then you can fix it. But only AI is not going to give you this information unless you figure out, get your hands dirty, and then feed that information back into AI.
Superb. No work like field work. It was key element. Before we just came up, I was asked, who are you going to ask the first question to? So I said, whoever sits right opposite me, but it's almost become like he's going to get the second last question. Sorry, Abin, but plans, are different from what we started off with. So, Abin, at SBM, you guys have done a lot of work with fintech partners and are known for driving that era of fintech initiatives. So, how have you looked at AI ML from the point of view of preventing these kind of fraud problems, especially in a partner-driven ecosystem with behavioral biometrics, fingerprinting, and all of this? So, if you can just shed some light on these areas.
Sure. Thank you for the question. First, see, everybody in this room, I believe, would agree that fraudsters are 10 times ahead of bankers. I mean, that's a harsh truth, but that's the fact. By the time we go ahead and we adopt to something new, some new technology, fraudsters are already there. And the problem with the banks is that we have to take a lot of approvals. We have to do POC. We have to you do a UAT and then bring it to live. So I mean, we have that much of time to spend getting this technology in place. That's the problem. But fraudsters doesn't have that problem, right? So if you look at the figure of say FY25, the amount of fraud was somewhere close to around 36,000 crores. Now that itself should speak volume of what exactly is going on in the fraud industry. I mean, imagine that's the amount people have lost. It can be investment fraud, it can be digital arrest, it can be any type of fraud. And UPI is being used as a very interesting tool by the fraudsters to, for the payment side, right? So now where banks fail, I mean, what are the challenges with banks? Now, if you see fraudsters, when I was speaking at one of the forums before, I said fraudsters require just what? One mobile number, right? But bank requires many defenses to go ahead and tackle that one particular transaction. Because one transaction going in silo might just pass through the FRM system. We might not even detect it that it is a fraud. But when you look at it, where did it happen, how did it happen, at what time did it happen, where these transactions are going, where these transactions are connected, these are the spaces where we go ahead and we get to know that probably these are the fraudulent transactions, and it's a nexus. Probably it's a network analysis can help you with that. Now, we also need to understand that fraudsters have they have already reverse engineered the FRM system, right? They know what banks will put, what rules bank will put, right? They know what are the thresholds. They start building the transaction. They know what threshold each bank is putting. And now they have started playing below the threshold, right? Because that's the data that even RBI had mentioned. The value has gone down. The volume of transaction has gone up because now they are playing below the threshold. So that's becoming difficult for the banks to go ahead and identify what kind of transactions to stop. Because if I stop a genuine transaction, I mean, that's going to come back firing at me. So that's the challenge that the banks face. Now, having said that, when you look at banks, now what banks have to do, you have to ensure that I do not reject a genuine transaction. I do not reject a customer who is probably, even if he is doing the transaction, digital transaction the first time, my rule might trigger that he's a first time user. Probably I might call him once, twice. Again, the customer might get irate. Why is he calling me? And also a lot of things that the bank has to take care of. And also banks have to invest heavily into fraud systems as well. Now, with regards to device fingerprinting, see, this is where device fingerprinting is basically where you understand it's the hardware and the software characteristics of the device, right? So now you will have to understand where the customer is coming from, what kind of transaction is doing. Then your biometric comes into picture, the mouse touch, which is your behavioral biometric, where your mouse touch, the space, the speed the customer is typing, or if he's doing a copy paste, all these factors come into play, right? And your behavior analysis, if the customer, what amount does he do generally? What is the transaction type he does generally? Whether he's a UPI user or a normal NEFT RTGS user, what kind of transaction. So all these factors, once they come into picture, you will be able to use these AI ML models more clearly. But now the thing is, the fraudsters, they have stopped or rather reduced breaking the system. But as Shuchi said, they have started bypassing human psychology, right? That's where your digital arrest and all these factors come into play. Your investment fraud, you cannot, I don't call it as an investment fraud. It's basically greed, right? Where they show you a picture, you get into it, you invest your money, and later you come to know that your money is gone. So I would not term it as a fraud, but that's the person himself willingly put into his money into it, and he was defrauded, or rather, it was a cheating case, right? So these are the factors that are there. And the challenges today with AI ML that I see is, one is that your data silos, right? Your transaction data is at one place, your KYC data is one place, your device data is one place. So AI will, these all data has to be in one place so that the AI can perform better. But if these are in different tables, these are in different tractions, then the AI will not be able to give you the actual output that is required. Then comes your explainability. Now RBI's AI free framework, it mentioned about, if you are rejecting a transaction, you need to be able to say why it was rejected. You cannot say that it was because my model gave that signal for it to be rejected. You will have to, a black box ML model would not work. Right? It has to be a clear definition. I have to explain why the transaction was rejected. Okay, that is another part. Then again, obviously, your model drift that happens, where your model might go into hallucination. You have to ensure that your model doesn't hallucinate. Your model doesn't give you a wrong picture. Wrong transactions are being flagged off. A lot of false positive coming to play. So that is another challenge with AI ML. Then you have your you can say return on investment. That's what the leadership wants, right? I'm investing so much money. What am I getting back in return? So, but we need to understand that AI, ML models that these are there, which are adopted and taken into bank, it will take some time to give you that result. But also, is your infra ready, and is your infra designed in a manner that it will give you that output, which is required in the current space ecosystem. So I believe that's how we can look at it.
Superb. Jayesh, while Ajay spoke about some elements of it, and the insurance life cycle is a much longer life cycle, and the values once again are, you pay a small premium but have a huge sum insured. So how are you looking at frauds in your space, and how are you seeing applications of AI ML in this?
So thank you, Satish, and good afternoon, everyone. In insurance, if you see the life cycle of policies, 20 years, 30 years, maximum 30 years. So if a fraudster has to play a fraud, because we all know we have all propensity model, we have PIN codes, the negative PIN codes. So a fraudster, I'll give you an example. A fraudster will log a policy with a very clean KYC, with a clean positive PIN codes, and subsequently he can change his address to his original and will not be able to know. But now coming to this AI or the agentic AI or the new age AI, so it can trigger immediately whenever the address is changed or some nominee is changed. Certain nominees are also, if we have encountered a previous nominee is a fraudster nominee name and KYC was used, we can encounter and immediately we can trigger that this person is a fraud and this policy may become a problematic area. So this is something. So frankly saying, what Ajay sir and everyone has said, I have spent almost 80% of my life into dealing with the complex fraud cases in the field itself. So I know this AI cannot be a static thing. It has to be a dynamic thing. Every day you have to feed the AI about the new age fraud. Everyone is talking about what is the data. Data is the experience of a human. So what we are experiencing has to be learnt by the AI. So that's why it is very important that we keep making this model very dynamic by training them frequently, daily basis or the event basis. So that is one thing. Yeah. And in life insurance, if you specifically say the fraudsters, the life insurance industry, I'm sure everyone would be having consensus with me. Life insurance industry is basically facing 2 or 3 major problems. One is the impersonation. One is the death before life insurance. The policy is issued with a person who was already dead. So impersonation is something which we are looking forward for the AI to catch. But some models are absolutely doing very good. But still, they have to be learned a lot, because these people are now creating the forced documents in a very systematic way, in a very legitimate way. So that is another challenge. If a particular document is forged or being issued using the legitimate channels, but it is actually a forged document because it is issued after the death of the person, the death of a life assured. So that is the thing. So we just we are focusing more on the AI, but we need to focus more on the training of the AI with the data, real data. So this is something.
So, yeah. This is another point of concern. I mean, now that we've done the first round of discussions, a candidate who I met recently was a risk analyst, and we were having this discussion when he said, "I'm not sure whether there'll be a next generation of risk analysts." And I was like, "Why do you think so?" He says, "Haven't you seen the Sam Altman interviews and all? They're saying all agents will take over all this work." And we were like, "Oh yeah, does it look like?" I mean, for a practitioner in the industry itself, there's an element of doubt in the statement. But when one looks at the marketing and one looks at the sales pitch, sorry, when you look at my sales pitch also, it may be the same. We are giving that sense that the L1 analyst of tomorrow is going to be an agent. Now, I just thought I'll ask some views from the panel on, is this just next level of automation and some productivity improvement, or are agents reaching that phase?
Yeah, so being from risk myself, I think a lot of desk jobs, for a lot of desk jobs, it might be true, which is, say, lending to institutions, analyzing their financials, their MD&A and all that, and also basically the ML models for retail and all. But as we discussed during the panel, for the field monitoring visits still remain an integral part of, unless robotics come over and robots go for field visits. But I don't think the LLMs, the large language models, which have limited vision capabilities right now, can substitute that sort of, the field monitoring, which is, but a lot of, I don't disagree that there is a lot of disruption coming in terms of a lot of, you have seen the terminal coding agents like Codex or Cloud Code and all, which can do a lot of our Excel or PowerPoint related work. Like you can easily, maybe if you use 20 Excels to do a project, you can easily codify that and use some LLM intelligence into that as well. So those kinds of jobs, though, yeah, even now it is quite easily automated, but there are certain aspects which are not.
Do you see risk analysts at risk?
I think there are two things which are involved here. One, AI is not here to take jobs away, okay? But what I really believe is that if people don't upskill themselves, and that is what happens with every new technology that comes, right? There is a huge thing that, when manufacturing came, oh, everything is going to, people will lose their jobs. People don't lose their jobs, they get better skilled jobs. So even for analysts, today, or say 5-6 years ago, a lot of work was done manually. We were on Excels. The data had to be looked at manually, figure out where is an aberration, try and figure out, then by the time you make a rule, it would have its own turnaround time. Now what is going to happen is that entire turnaround time is going to shrink. People will not start from minus. The analysts are going to start from a +5 or a +10, and depending on how well they are able to use the technology, how well they are able to understand AI. Today, what is AI for most people? Chat GPT pe ek sawal dalo, you get an answer. I'm sorry, people don't even think before copying, pasting and giving it out. That is not using AI. As they say in Hindi, nakal karne ke liye bhi akal chahiye. Right? There is a very famous terminology there. So even if you have to use AI, if you don't know how to use it well, it's going to be a problem. So I don't think jobs are going away unless people understand and use it properly. And AI is not equal to automation, which everybody thinks. And how do you find the right use cases? Everybody today wants to have AI on their CV. And most of the times when you see use cases, you're like, I'm sorry, this is not AI. So that entire intelligence, I think, is very important if you want to take your level of expertise from a negative to a +5, +10, +50, and show how different or how much better you are than the other person.
Abin, sorry, Vishal, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think she covered it nicely. The only thing here is there'll be some kind of shake-up, maybe at jobs which are more mundane in nature, which is of course true for any industry per se. But one important element is AI can come, AI can learn, all those things is fine. But domain expertise is needed, right? People who have that richness of experience, people who have seen the industry over a period of time, have experience, can actually think through as well. That is something which is going to stay, irrespective of whether AI metaphors itself to something else or no. So that domain expertise will stay. There'll be new jobs which will be created, there'll be new positions which will be created. But yes, mundane jobs which do not require a lot of thinking as such, that should have a problem.
And who's going to do the analysis between the use cases that we just saw? That AI is not. Yeah, the nuances and the actual things that are happening in the field. AI is not going to solve for it unless you feed it back.
See, I believe right now we already have seen a lot of new positions being created, like model risk managers, AI specialist, and automation supervisor. So a lot of other kind of jobs have been, or roles have been created already. And at the end, as we understand, fraud is not only about system, where a system will take care of it. It's also about human, right? I mean, human intervention or human in the loop is always required to go ahead and tackle. And AI can give you an output, but you cannot depend on it stating that this is the final verdict. You have someone is required to be there to probably explain it that yes, this is the correct one. Whether it can be that it might give you a wrong answer, but if someone is not looking at it, it can give you any answer, which might turn out to be a disaster at the end. So I think it will be there. Its shift is there, but it won't be completely eradicated.
Yeah, so in addition to what they have stated, so they have covered all those things. See, there is no paucity of jobs for people who are ready to take those kind of either upscaling their skills or, but at the same time, ready to go and see what is happening on the field. If they have done that, I don't think there will be any kind of risk. We are representing risk, and there should not be any risk on us that our job is at stake. I'll just give you a couple of quick examples. Like, do you think that whatever the cases you get and the AIs are able to catch, hold, or whatever, but are there those cases which were traditionally the fraud cases, have they stopped? They haven't. Like for example, if the victim and the fraudsters, they actually come in hand to hand, what kind of things you will do? For example, one case we just saw where person was expecting the cancellation, refund of the reservation of the ticket, rail ticket. He may have gone on the Google, he may have searched some, and you know that in the Google, you get those kind of people also if you're not going on the authentic website or something. So he happened to have someone and he told that, okay, I'll help you in refunding that. Instead of that, he applied for a loan and he got that amount. He was thinking that I got a refund of the railway ticket. So these kind of things, one funny incident I came to know few years back, but it still holds good. And this is the reality also. The person was told that, in insurance person was told that if you stand near this metro and there are pillars, in the metro there are pillars, whenever the metro crosses that pillar, you will get 50 rupees. This way or that way. And then what he did, he actually asked one person, his staff, to be there. He used to count kitni baar metro gayi hai, ताकि मेरा end of the day कितना amount बना. These kind of things are what? It's greed only, what he was talking about, the greed which the person. And we have seen many of the people who are into the investments, they are very investment savvy, stock exchange वगैरह में पैसे लगा रहे हैं, insurance में they used to put with 60% return. And they are so-called investment savvy and all. So, and we have seen most of the people who have been caught in these things are they think themselves to be very literate, very educated, कि मेरे को कोई cheat नहीं कर सकता. And the people who are mostly on the poor or middle class kind of, they actually take lots of control. They actually look into many things because they know that मेरे पास जो ये पैसे हैं, I need to just see that कि what are the things, and then only I will share. But these kind of people 40% दे दिया, चलो बाद में आ रहे हैं बोल रहे हैं कि हमें तो बोला था 40%, अभी तो यहाँ पे 5% भी नहीं मिल रहा है. So all these things happens, and these things will not be controlled by AI. These things are where you will get to know only when you are going on the field and knowing and interacting with the people. Like we are interacting here, we may get to know so many things from each one of you.
Superb. So I think we're almost at the end of our time. I will throw open the floor to questions. So if anyone has any questions that they, yeah.
I think before we head for the questions, can we have a big round of applause for our fantastic panelists here? And I think a wonderful last 50-55 minutes we had them discussing. Big congratulations for a successful panel to the panel members. A big congratulations to Satish ji for wonderfully moderating it. I think given the time, we can take one quick question from the audience. So I request you, please raise your hand. Yeah. Can we have the mic to the gentleman there? Sir, would request you to kindly introduce yourself and question, if specific, to which of these eminent panel members?
Okay, myself Ganesh Apraj, I head the fraud control unit for Auxilo FinServ. So I have a question, probably Ajay can answer the question. Okay, I have a question, as you rightly pointed, a lot of people are not going on field and looking at the aggression of the other side. Now I'm talking about the fraudsters and looking at the people what we have, probably a lot of new people are coming as a MT, Gen Z, you can say, doesn't want to go out on a field, and the way we have investigated and a lot of cases what we have done. So I have a question to audience, if somebody can tell me, in last 1 year, how many FIR you have done and how many people you have arrested. That is a question for audience, but let me come back to you. How, what kind of future we are seeing for this fraud control unit, looking at the aggression of other side and looking at the aggression of our side? But the way do you see, in 2030 or probably 2035, where are we going to stand?
See, if I can use a kind of a metaphor, CID is there, and that everyone would have seen that कि जहाँ पे भी कुछ अगर कोई केस आया, पहला दे यूज टू गो कि देखो हमारे पास डेटा क्या है इस बंदे के बारे में, राइट? नाउ दोज थिंग्स विल बी देयर, But as I told, if we are passionate, if we are ready to take those plunge and go and face those people on the ground, I don't think the future is bleak. In fact, it is very, very positive, and I'm a very positive person, and what I can see is if we have those kind of things, yes, AI will help you. AI will be your additional leg, because in today's journey, you can't just depend on human force. You have to have, because there's so much of data, there's so much of things to be done there. So that gives you one kind of instrument. जैसे पहले जैसे लोग बोलते हैं ना खबरी, for police, people go and visit those people. So this is one of your very key tool to depend on, but at the same time, you need to be that passion, you need to have those things, and I don't see whether it's 2030, 40, 50, we might be more having those tools with us. Might be when we go on the field, we have everything, the kind of shield, yeah, and you can use that anywhere. Okay, button dabaya, ye mila, but you should go on the field and just see, because that is the fun, that is a fun also. It's not something like sitting in the office and all. So I don't see the future is bleak. It is very, very positive, but only for those who want to do these things.
I'll just add one thing to what he said is the future, I feel right now, how the focus is prevention of my organization. The way regulator is bringing a lot of things, Mule Hunter, MNRL, it's going to be at ecosystem level. So this is not going to be just one entity specific. I think the vision is it's a national issue, right? It's a, I think digital intelligence platform, this is something under UAT which the regulator is doing. So if anything happens in one organization, it doesn't restrict there. You're going to have a visibility across organizations, you know. Even the NBFCs have written to RBI that give us access to CFR. So slowly in pockets, that's happening at the background. And I think in future, it's going to be a, united we stand. So it's going to be at an eco-level system. These are my views.
And Gen Zs are not all that bad. So if you they are very smart. As a matter of fact, they know how to do their job in the shortest possible way. And of course, even when we did our MBAs, there were people who said field pe nahi jayenge.
But I have seen the Gen Z's other side. They are more aggressive than what we have.
Exactly. So
they are not bad, but other side they have a lot of bad people.
They'll actually give a cutthroat competition. Yeah. So I think it's quite bright.
Thank you so much, panel members, and thank you so much for that question here. A big round of applause once again, ladies and gentlemen. I would request the panel members to kindly be on stage for the next couple of minutes, as I would like to call on stage our feliciter for this wonderful panel here. Can we have Mr. Himanshu Badhyay, Head of Sales APAC from Nice Actimize, to kindly do the honors? Himanshu ji, can we have you on stage, please? Please. We'll start with the felicitation of Mr. Abin Mathew K from SBM Bank. Can we have the certificate for Abin ji? A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Abin Mathew K for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next, Mr. Ajay Kanth from Aditya Birla Capital. A big round of applause to Ajay ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Ms. Shuchi Mahajan from HDFC Bank. A big round of applause to Ms. Mahajan for a wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Vishal Rijia from Kotak Mahindra Bank. A big round of applause to Vishal ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to our industry expert, Mr. Rahul Arora. Can we have a big round of applause to Rahul ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. Moving next to Mr. Jayesh Jagarwal from Bharti XL Life Insurance. A big round of applause for Jayesh ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel. Moving next to Mr. Harshit Rathi from Northern Arc Capital. A big round of applause to Harshit ji for his wonderful contribution in the panel session. And now our honorable moderator, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Satish Kashyap from Drona Pay. A big round of applause to Satish ji for not just moderating this excellent panel of experts, but also sharing his valuable insights. Would request humbly all the panel members to kindly step forward for a group photograph. And Himanshu, if you could also join them. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our panel on payment fraud control, AI fraud detection and prevention. And what a wonderful session. The last 55 minutes with this superb panel of experts. My congratulations to the panel members for a very successful panel. Thank you so much for your time.